Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Yeah. This television has a poison on its breath. This counterculture of both wicked lives and death. It makes my eyes bleed every time I turn around. How will they all feel when I bring them to the ground? And I said, I walk for miles inside this pit of danger, a place where no one follows me. I walk alone. Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, how the hell are you doing?
Chills, man. Look at you. Like, that is just look at you. Yeah. I one of the better entrances, I think. That is actually on my gym playlist as well, too. And so, as it should be for all of us. So
and Saliva is kind of like a real deal, huh?
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
An actual band.
Yeah. And so one of the few licensed entrance songs. Yeah. CM Punk, couple others. And so Rhonda, I'm doing good though. This is, as I said last week, I am not only on holiday this week, but happy birthday to me. It's today. So look at that. I started the morning by dropping my girlfriend off at the airport. And so that's how my day started.
Why are you smiling and seem so happy about that?
That is, I'm the opposite of all the tears I shed this morning, so that, trying to balance myself out right now. So no, it was a lovely weekend and things like that. And so kind of hanging out. And so I'm on holiday this week, and when we're recording this one, a little early so that you and me both, just busy summer doesn't mean things are stopping, but it's a good day for me. Happy birthday to me. Let's talk wrestling now.
All right. I got to tell you, in terms of why we're covering this match, I never even knew this match happened.
Yeah. And this was one too, where I was just kind of, and so my process, one day I had some downtime. So I was looking up random like WWE pay-per-views that didn't have a lot of like individual shows. And so One Night Stand, there's only 4 seasons of it on the network. But kind of looking at it from that approach, and this was one too, obviously you being the Shawn Michaels fan that you are, we haven't covered a ton of Batista. And we've definitely never covered the stipulation on this one, a stretcher match, which I will get into the rules on that. So don't worry about that. If you're not sure exactly, if you haven't brushed up on your stretcher match rules lately, I got you covered. So, all kinds of fun reasons to cover this one. How about you?
Well, I was just so happy to find out that this match even existed. And I'm like, well, stretcher match. Okay. Batista and HBK. Okay. I know that it's on our list because it's an awesome match. So I'm like, this is probably going to be great. So I'm very excited about it.
Yep. Before we get into it, of course, reminding everybody at 20% off free shipping using the code PAYOFF at manscaped.com. Of course, we talked about it for the first time last week, but don't forget, and you've seen it on our social media as well, too, that Lawnmower 4.0, they have upgraded. We got all kinds of new stuff. We've talked about it, all kinds of new features and things like that. The brighter light, on-off light, the travel lock, the guards, wireless charging. We're all a fan of all that stuff. But again, 20% off free shipping. Manscaped.com. Use that promo code PAYOFF.
Well, and right now there's some cool packages on there as well, and same deal where if you want to get that, but then also get the toiletry bag and the boxers are actually awesome. Did you like the boxers?
A cool package over here too, if you know what I'm saying. And so
they're great boxer briefs. Boxer briefs. They might just be boxers, but very, very smooth.
I got in trouble because I wasn't paying attention, and I had the T-shirt on one day because with the package we got also came with the T-shirt, and so I wore that, and that my partner was not too happy about that. It just running out to the store real quick. I was like, hey, who cares? You wore your Manscaped T-shirt while you were running errands with her. Yeah, just to Aldi. I mean, we ran to Aldi and back, the grocery store. But hey, hey, sometimes I'm not above going out there and moving some merchandise and supporting the show no matter where I'm at. So, but hey, it happens. So,
all right,
let's get into it.
20% off, payoff.
Yes,
discount code Manscaped. It's time for the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
So, Jeff, this is actually ECW. I don't know if they were calling it ECW, probably not, of course, at this point, but it's the One Night Stand 2008. Now, on the network, it does say ECW One Night Stand. So I don't know if that should say that or not, or if that was the actual pay-per-view. I think it's just One Night Stand 2008, but we had talent from Raw, SmackDown, ECW, June 1, 2008, the San Diego Sports Arena, which I've never been inside. I've driven past it a number of times. It's a kind of a small venue, less than 10,000 people. I bet it was an awesome place to watch a wrestling show. San Diego's interesting because they don't have like the 20,000 seat arena. So this is all they have when they run San Diego. Buy rate of 194,000. Now, Jeff, this card is really something else, man. Jeff Hardy defeats Umaga in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Big Show defeats Chavo Guerrero, CM Punk, John Morrison, and Tommy Dreamer in a number one contenders for the ECW championship at Night of Champions. John Cena defeats JBL in a First Blood match. Beth Phoenix defeats Melina in an I Quit match. Batista and Shawn Michaels in the stretcher match we're going to cover, which you're like, wow, what a great match. Was that the main event? Oh, no. You had Triple H and Randy Orton in a last man standing match. Wow. What a main event that was. Oh, hold on. There's more. Edge and The Undertaker in a TLC match for the heavyweight championship. How about that for a final three match, a final three on this card? Batista, Shawn Michaels stretcher match, Triple H, Orton last man standing, Edge and Undertaker TLC match. Are you kidding me?
It's one of those sneaky good cards. Like we talked about the last month, like Backlash being really good. Like it's one of those, and you and I do it nowadays. We're like for random shows, we're like, this could be sneaky good. And sure enough, like a lot of times we're surprised by some of this stuff. And this was one, everything was ranked fairly decent.
Yeah, there's not a bad match on this card.
Yep.
The worst thing you had was 2.25 stars for the Hardy match and the Beth Phoenix match. But I mean, this is really good stuff. So I'm pumped to cover this one, man. So how do we get HBK and Batista?
Yeah, so this was one, again, like I said at the top of the show, like I would discuss what is a stretcher match. So I'm going to read the very specific rules on this one. In the stretcher match, one wrestler must incapacitate their opponent to such an extent that they are able to get them onto a stretcher and roll them to the finish line, usually past a line at the top of the entrance ramp. The first match of this type was different as a wrestler lost if after being pushed out of the ring, 4 medics were able to load him on a carry stretcher, pick him up all the way, and start walking out with him. So One Night Stand at June 2008, but Michaels, he actually had come back. It was actually October, just a couple of months previous to this, in 2007, which at the time it was a little bit of Randy Orton history here. He actually sweet chin musicked Randy Orton, and because he had been out actually from a storyline attack that happened against Orton. So he comes back at that. So he had Cyber Sunday, that 2007 at that point, that Michaels voted. It was a fan vote, of course, with the Cyber Sunday to face Orton for the WWE Championship. He won actually through DQ. Orton hit Michaels with a low blow, so Orton kept his belt. He actually got another chance at a championship. He got a rematch at Survivor Series of 2007. You actually had Michaels, which is just a weird stipulation, but it's what it is, where Michaels was banned from using the super kick because Orton had been taking super kicks for over the previous weeks and he was tired of it. So Michaels actually ended up losing the match. You had Orton hitting him with the RKO for the win, which that was really kind of the end of their feud at that point. So we start getting into then that Ric Flair or Michaels having his match WrestleMania 24 against Ric Flair. Of course, Michaels ending Flair's career, ending Flair's career. We had not seen him since 2008.
Jeff, I'm sorry. I love you.
I know. Thank you.
Go.
On my birthday, I feel good. And so having that match, but then afterwards, and this is where you start getting into the story on this one, Batista, though, confronting Michaels about what he did to Flair, calling him selfish, calling him egotistical, just all this different stuff and things like that. So we're going to see during this match some Chris Jericho nonsense as well, too, getting involved. And so you actually had Michaels and Batista at Backlash just previous to this, with Chris Jericho as a special guest referee. You had Michaels actually won. He faked a knee injury in order to get the Sweet Chin Music on Batista. Jericho called him out on that. Michaels admitted that he staged the injury in order to beat Batista at that point. So then you had Michaels and Jericho at Judgment Day. And then you had Batista and Jericho on an episode of Raw, which was the final night, or excuse me, not the final night, the next night, where he got to then, because he beat Jericho, he got to have the match with Michaels at One Night Stand as the stretcher match. And so Batista, up to this point, that Cyber Sunday that we had talked about, he actually took on the Undertaker. Stone Cold Steve Austin was a special guest referee. This was Batista actually pinning the Undertaker, giving him 2 Batista bombs, and then kind of continuing that. They had continuing that feud. They had a Hell in a Cell match at Survivor Series. Edge like returning at that point, kind of getting involved after they had a little bit of back and forth as well too. It gave the Undertaker the concerto, just a little back and forth. So then you had Edge. It was actually Armageddon then, which would have been that late 2007. Edge winning a triple threat match against the Undertaker and Batista, which Batista had the World Heavyweight Championship at that point. So after the concerto, getting involved in that way, he actually was in the Royal Rumble. He was Batista was in the final 3. He actually got eliminated by Triple H, and then of course that year Cena won, eliminating Triple H. And so and then he had he was part of a elimination chamber at No Way Out, elimination chamber match at No Way Out. And he was actually eliminated by Viscera. Which is kind of weird. And then he had at WrestleMania 24, he had a match against Umaga. And then that, of course, led to the drama that we just talked about with Ric Flair and kind of what Michaels did. And so just kind of, not a ton of stuff. Like, that June 1st is when this card takes place. You had that WrestleMania just a little bit before this. And so not really a ton in each other's universe, but made sense for me, it makes sense because kind of, WrestleMania is either the end or the beginning of something. This was kind of getting into something new with a new storyline, which just kind of made sense. So, that's it.
Easy enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's get into it. One Night Stand 2008, ECW One Night Stand 2008. We're at the 1 hour and 21 minute mark on Peacock, home of The Office, and I'm sure a lot of other stuff, none of which I've watched. I watch Office reruns and I watch WWE, and
Parks and Rec.
Happy to pay my $10 a month.
Yep, exactly.
All right, let's get into the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
So we got both guys in the ring.
Funny, a little bit later in Batista's run, he's got the shaved head, right?
I was going to say,
we'll talk about it afterwards, I'm sure, but this is probably towards the tail end.
He had the dark hair after last week's match when he came out after Evolution and doing that. A little bit more jacked now. Ooh, that was stiff. Big shot to Batista against Michaels, kind of tossing him around right now. Michael's selling, trying to get away from him. Oof, we're outside the ring already. Oh, he bounced off the stretcher. Yikes. So I'll be honest, I didn't look it up. I do not remember a whole lot of stretcher matches in WWE. Is this? Do you remember any other matches? That's anything jump out to your mind?
No, but I'm sure there's been a few.
Yeah, this is one of those stipulations where I'm okay that it hasn't, and so. But here we go. I actually did find it for you. You had Brock Lesnar beating The Big Show at Judgment Day 2003. You had Edge defeating Kane on an episode of Raw.
Didn't the year before, I think RVD defeated Randy Orton in one of these.
There you go.
And if I'm not mistaken, on SmackDown back in 2009, Matt Hardy defeated Jeff Hardy. Is that right?
You nailed it. Yep.
I know. So, I pulled up the same list you're looking at.
And then the final one in Raw 2004. So we're overdue for a match here. If 2004 was the last one, it was actually
2014.
2014, excuse me. Yeah. Either way, we're overdue. Yeah. John Cena defeating Kane to get into the WWE World Heavyweight Championship ladder match at Money in the Bank. And so, yeah. So we're overdue. Just same with an Inferno match. Hashtag Inferno match. I'm always trying to get that. We will get that. You know, we're coming up to that season. You know, a spooky season. You know, I think the weather eventually going to cool off here. I will get an Inferno match on the show. But
so how crazy was it? Like, you know, on this show, Undertaker and Edge in a TLC match. But what I think's crazy is, like, I know Undertaker probably wasn't working house shows in this era, but it's like every feud he was in was just brutal. It was Batista, it was Edge, Brock Lesnar. I feel like every Taker match he was in was 25 minutes long, and they beat the shit out of each other.
And that was a 24-minute match.
Yeah, it's not like he was working like comedy, you know, routines. And, you know, I mean, there were a couple years of Mick Foley's career where he's more of like a comedy guy. Like Undertaker, just every match he's been in, you know, for the last 15 years of his career was just a knockdown drag out. So Michael's on offense, kind of giving it to Batista here. Stretcher match. Now he's got the stretcher. Hits him with it. Okay. Batista selling it. I guess those things have to be pretty strong, man, because they're carrying people and it's a piece of health equipment. So that probably hurts a little bit.
It also says rugged on it. And so
I doubt you're gimmicking it.
Yeah. I don't know how you would gimmick it. Like, you know, so Michael's trying to get Batista on it at this point. Again, remember on this one, so you have to get him to the top of the ramp, or like walkway, if you will, entryway. It doesn't look like
is there a line up there? I feel like there's been a line in these things before where you'd like cross the line with them on it. Okay.
Yep. And so these guys, they're kind of, it's almost like a little bit of weird strong style, like just they're working stiff, it seems like. And so, now Michael's just kind of taking back blows on the side of the ring. They're kind of locked up at this point. There's not, I say, a ton of, quote, wrestling. These guys are just kind of beating the crap out of each other right now. So we'll see what happens. Okay. So this is one too. We had obviously the kind of short run with Batista coming back. We asked it on last week. Are we going to see Mick Foley again? We'll ask it this week. Are we going to get another Batista match
chance.
at some point?
Batista's done. I mean, obviously he could still wrestle, but it's like he wanted that retirement, and I'm sure that he got everything he needed. I'd be shocked to see him back in the ring. He won't need the money. I don't think he'll want to do it. I'll tell you what I loved about his final run was when they did that Raw where he was dragging Ric Flair out of the dressing room. Dude, that was good. Remember, that wasn't long after Flair almost died, and it was like, holy shit. I know all he did was drag him, but like, that was awesome. That was just such a killer return.
Yep. And of course, Ric Flair could never die. We know that. But it's just, he'll outlive us all. But yeah, absolutely. And that was a great angle with kind of how they did that. And like, you know, how they told that story was fantastic.
Did you catch Flair on the on Conrad's podcast recently?
I did not. No.
Yeah, it was part of the Jeff Jarrett feed, but it was just a random Ric Flair interview they added to it. At the very end, Flair sings this song, I guess he used to sing, basically about throwing a women's dress in the corner of a hotel room after a long night out. And he's like 72 years old, and he's singing this song. I mean, it was hilarious. I'm listening to it at 5:30 in the morning as I'm driving to my office this morning. It was absolutely hilarious.
Well, and even with the Dark Side of the Ring and getting the plane ride from hell episode, like we still don't know the full story. We'll never know the full story of that. Like, Flair being there on there and stuff like that. Like, well, that's just one of those where it will forever be like, in the, history of wrestling, like, we'll just never know. Like when we were getting worked, like when we, things like that, like just, yeah, we'll never know. So they have pushed the stretcher back to the side of the ring. There's a few actually in the entryway. So we're back in the ring at this point after kind of starting outside for a little bit. And now getting into a little bit more of wrestling.
That's one of the things about Shawn Michaels is, he's one of those guys that doesn't wrestle the same match over and over again. No different than, Bret Hart obviously prides himself on that, but you just get so many different types of matches, which is really fun. Kurt Angle, obviously the same way.
I don't know if you saw recently too, you had Bret coming out and saying like he understands what he says can be, taken as rough sometimes. Like people aren't always a fan of the things he says about the business, but he's not saying it to be a dick. Like he's saying it because he wants it to be better. Like he wants it to, like he's trying to call out what he sees as like areas where it can improve. And you and I've said that on the show before. Like there are times where Bret just comes off as like just a total asshole, and maybe that part of it's just part of it too. But hey, it's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I also heard, Bret was like, well, some of the things that like I was quoted of recently, I didn't say, and I'm trying to get along with everyone. And I don't have that many friends in the wrestling business. I'm not trying to lose them. So,
which I get it.
It's like, tough sometimes watching these guys get older too.
Well, and he was sick for a while there. I forget if he had COVID or I didn't even cancer. I forget, but either way, sorry if he did not. I know I'm trying to start a thing. But yeah, I think I'm with you. Like, and we've all seen like Jake the Snake fucking come back from dead, which absolutely go watch his documentary if you haven't seen it and stuff like that. And the rebirth of Jake the Snake. But yeah, and that was one where like he was dead, like just absolutely like crazy. So tuning up the band here. But that, this is one of those where I've seen it written about actors, and you and I are going to have to deal with it. And all of us are going to have to deal with it with wrestlers. Like we're at that age where like some of our childhood heroes, be it actors or wrestlers or whatever it is, like, unfortunately, they're going to sadly start dying. And so we're going to live through that, and it's going to suck. Like we're going to lose the absolute legends of the industry. And you and I are going to see that, unfortunately. So, not something we have to think about right now. So there's a super kick. Batista got Batista, and he rolled out onto the stretcher. That was actually a pretty good move. Batista just selling that he's dead. Good job. But Michaels too, unable to get over there to him to roll the stretcher.
Really good match so far.
So far, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's starting early where you don't always see it. Like it took, they couldn't really move the stretcher because neither guy was tired enough to, actually sell that. So it was nice them just kind of fighting over it and, trying to figure that out. I appreciated that. Michaels again moving the stretcher, trying to. Batista actually kind of laying out at this point. And he's kind of hung up on the ring apron. That's an interesting little move there. That's sneaky, actually. And this was before he couldn't do that nowadays because you got the electronic boards, and so how he kind of faked being able to pull him away and things like that. Oh, and then rolls off. Just yeah.
Where are you with these A&E documentaries? Have you seen them all, or have you seen a couple of them?
I watched the first couple up until the Macho Man one, when there was all the backlash. Not to coin a WWE term, but all the kind of uproar on how poorly they portrayed the Macho Man. I know a lot of them have come out since and said it was like just a hack job. Like they really attacked him when they shouldn't have. I've seen a few people say like that's how he was though. Like he was crazy and overbearing, and it's just kind of how
Eric
it
Bischoff
was.
said he was embarrassed that he participated in it.
Yeah, and Bischoff,
Have you seen the Savage one yet?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
I watched
the last one. So you have not seen the Booker T one yet?
No, I have not, and I saw that there was some kind of weird shit about that one too.
What was the knock on the Booker T one?
When they cut part of like the Triple H angle, like kind of the little bit of a racist stuff that was happening. Kind of,
if I remember correctly, there was like some racist stuff that Triple H was doing going into WrestleMania, and then Triple H ended up winning the match.
Yeah, and they said like some of the like it was weird because they said like they filmed stuff, but then they didn't. And Batista or Booker T was like, no, it didn't play. Like it just again, it's true to wrestling fashion. Like the story of the story is better than the story. Like
yeah,
you know, it just sometimes that's how it plays out. And I wish I had a better way to phrase that term. That was a fun spot with the stretcher too, with kind of seesawing it up into Michael's face. Yeah, it's just one of those where we, that's why I think some of these wrestling documentaries are so good, and The Last Ride and stuff like that. Like it was fun watching that match with AJ Styles, but shit, I enjoyed, 5-6 episodes of The Last Ride too, and how we got there, and stuff like that. And that's why I think some of these, you and I have said it multiple times on the show, very few companies in any industry are producing documentaries better than WWE. You figure Vince still has like oversight over so much of that stuff. So yeah, I get it. And like why they were upset at that one, but yeah, I did not see the Booker one, but I did see the Macho one.
I thought Booker was really good. Savage. Yeah, man, it was a hit job. But again, I mean, nothing they said didn't happen. I mean, they didn't make things up, I mean, it was uncomfortable, but it all happened. I mean, I think I do wish they would have probably covered some of his charitable stuff too, because he did so much in the community. I believe a ton with Make-A-Wish, or maybe it was something locally in Tampa, but he was very involved, in a lot of charity. And then, the other thing about the Savage thing, it just makes you sad that he was never able to, make amends with Vince and have a good return to the company. Obviously, if you had to pick between him and Warrior, you would have rathered Savage have the happy ending, right?
So now you got Jericho out here kind of yelling at Michaels as he's trying to hang out of the ring apron. Batista trying to pull him, kind of slowing the match down a little bit here. Even the fans kind of like, what the hell's going on?
Well, remember, this was like in the midst of this like 18-month program or whatever it was with Jericho, right?
Yeah.
Like him and Jericho and HBK just like they jawed forever.
And I will have a little bit of this in the aftermath, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Batista kind of laughing now. Yeah.
Forget the exact timeline, but
yeah. And we'll talk about it. They had a couple of matches actually, involving his wife too. But yeah, it's so again, we're back in the ring at this point, like Batista trying to figure out what to do here. Well, we asked it too. Would we see Michaels again in the ring?
I mean, it's more likely you'll see Michaels in the ring than Batista. I mean, if you see Michaels in the ring, he's still around the product, and he probably doesn't love the way he went out against Undertaker and Kane in Saudi Arabia. So, can you see HBK, AJ, HBK, Daniel Bryan, HBK versus an NXT guy? Sure. I mean, I could absolutely see him doing one more. What about you?
I am glad you said it, because I absolutely think that we could, maybe see him in an NXT match. It might sound crazy to see like Shawn Michaels, working NXT, but like Johnny Gargano, him and them, like they've got a connection. Like, I'm sure like even like Finn Balor, like, there's a lot of those guys where they could work and have a really good, especially like him and Gargano, I think would have an incredible match. So good storytelling here. You had Michaels, who's just beat to shit, try and like push Batista off and go for like a sweet chin music, but then didn't have the strength. So he just kind of like half-assed kicked Batista in the chest, which then led Batista giving him another Batista bomb at this point. And so now we are on the stretcher and we are rolling. Is this going to be it? We're about halfway up the ramp. Entryway, or Jericho back out again, yelling. There's the line. They haven't even shown it yet. Jericho kind of stopping Batista at this point. It's interesting, too, because you said it's ECW One Night Stand on the Peacock. That flashing construction sign says Extreme Rules, which, if you remember or know, it was actually the next year where this turned into Extreme Rules. Yep. And so it was almost like WWE, ECW, One Night Stand, Extreme Rules. Like, yeah.
Well, I know we've discussed this before, but they could have revived that ECW brand and made it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially after watching.
Here's the thing: sometimes with these like matches, like these last man standing or stretcher matches, it's tough because it's like, Michaels is like unconscious, right, and like can't even move, and it's like, but nothing happened to him that hasn't happened in plenty of other matches, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to really suspend. You got to really suspend your disbelief on this.
Oh, there's a backbreaker to Michaels onto the Batista carried the steel steps up to the ramp. And so again, and here we go. He's throwing him back on the stretcher. Here we go. And we are across the line.
Jeez.
There it is.
Well,
okay.
Let's get into the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right. What'd you think?
That was not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, it was fine. It was, it was such a match. It was interesting, but we don't always cover top matches on this one. I think that, and without, you and I don't watch these ahead of time. I think I maybe would have liked a little bit more action. Like, Batista really dominated this one. But yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, nothing special there, huh?
Yeah. So what happened?
That set.
That's what I'm saying. Why they changed it to Extreme Rules. Yeah, absolutely. I got all construction equipment and stuff. So you had actually, it was 1 week later on Raw. Michaels was actually attacked by Chris Jericho. He was doing the highlight reel. Michaels got thrown through a TV screen. You had like kind of storyline injury to Michaels. There was a Great American Bash match where it was actually a referee stoppage. So that didn't kind of happen. And then you actually had a month later at SummerSlam, Michaels announcing his retirement. And we had, we've talked about on the show a few times, like Jericho punching Michaels' wife in the face at that point. So Michaels then, renouncing, coming out of, not retiring, challenging Jericho to an unsanctioned match, an Unforgiven. Jericho accepted that one. They had, of course, the contract signing. There were shenanigans with that, which an unsanctioned contract signing, just a little weird there, but really beat the crap out of Jericho at that point. Michaels was the winner on that one. The referee called the match, and so they had that. So, and then you had Batista, though. It was actually moved over from SmackDown to Raw at this point. It was the 2008 draft. Failed to win the championship from Edge at Night of Champions. It was actually, he attacked Edge the following night, and then CM Punk actually cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on Edge. And so it was actually set up a title match then between Batista and Punk, which happened at Great American Bash. There was a double DQ. Kane got involved. Just kind of, stuff happening. And then he actually went into a feud with John Cena because Cena accidentally punched him. It was a whole thing after JBL ducked from a punch. And so they had a match at SummerSlam 2008, but this was, here's some trivia for you. The first match between John Cena and Batista was SummerSlam 2008 because they had always been on different brands since they both debuted about 8 years earlier.
They had good matches.
Yep. And so Batista beat Cena at that SummerSlam 2008. And then again, this Jericho storyline, it was Cyber Sunday 2008. Batista beat Jericho. It was actually for his 4th World Heavyweight Championship, which Stone Cold was the referee. But Batista's reign only lasted about a week, because then on the 800th episode of Raw, Jericho beat him in a steel cage match. And so hot shot in the belt in 2008, late 2008. So that's what we get, and that's what's happening. So thoughts on that? Ready for the ranks?
Ready for him. Let's hear it.
Michaels was 7 this year, 2008. Batista was 15. Pro Wrestling Torch here, the rating on this one, they gave this 3.25 stars. Good match. The involvement of Jericho was cleverly ambiguous. Was he on Michaels' side or not? As you could see, there was a lot of back and forth before and after with that. Batista showing signs of being a strong heel, and if he does turn, they're setting it up slowly and deliberately, so when it happens, fans may not like it, but they'll see what drove him to it. The stretcher match with Batista defeating Shawn Michaels was fine for giving Batista victory and presenting him in a more serious, dominating light. The stretcher match wasn't a great match, but WWE is telling a good story with these 3 guys. In fact, the storyline is the best thing going on in WWE right now. Thumbs in the middle, as they put here. So, and then just kind of the random 411 Mania right up on this one. I love the psychology here. Batista promised to hurt Shawn Michaels for feigning the injury last month, and he did just that. The 2 Batista bombs and spine buster were sick against someone with a bad back, and the callback to the heartfelt WrestleMania 24 moment was fantastic. 4 stars. So 3.25 stars, 4 stars. I think I've had you going first lately, so I will actually go first on this one. I'm gonna I feel like it shouldn't be this low, but I'm actually gonna give it only a 5.5. Like,
dude, I got it at 5.
Fuck. Okay. Well, here we go. So
yeah, I don't know what I'm like. I mean, I know the star ratings were higher, and I know that like this is like a decently regarded match. I don't understand what people saw at all. I
wonder, like, if we had maybe picked the blow off to this, like the kind of final match and stuff like that, but this kind of was the blow off to the WrestleMania storyline. And so
that's right.
But I feel like the match itself was, yes, did it work? Like in the context of the story and him wanting to beat the crap out of Michaels, yes, it made sense. But I think you and me just kind of watching it right now, I was not as impressed as I would have hoped to have been, especially, and I think it's sticking in my brain now since you said it, like it's not anything we've never seen Michaels do. It was actually probably below what we would have expected from a Michaels match that you and I would talk about on this show. Not to say that that's his fault. It's just that was how the match was. He needed to get his ass kicked. And so he didn't get a whole lot of offense in. He didn't really do a whole lot other than like really one kind of sweet chin music, but that was it. And so, yeah, I'm 5.5. I'm just kind of, again, thumbs in the middle, I think is the best way to describe it. What are your follow-up thoughts?
Nothing else to add to it. Just, yeah. I expected more. I was really excited to cover this. I thought it was gonna be an awesome match.
You and me both, yeah. And so, but the deceiving on the stars there, and so
even Michael Hickenbottom can't have all 5-star matches.
No, not always. And oddly enough, though, this was the top card or top match on the card in regards to like stars and things like that. So who knows? But okay. Well, with that, of course, so it's always good stuff. And so reminding everybody, of course, as we did at the top of the show, manscaped.com, use that promo code PAYOFF, free shipping, 20% off. We appreciate the fans supporting the show. I know Tom said
their stuff's reasonably priced too. It's not bad. So that extra 20% in free shipping, it's like you can get some pretty cool shit for a very reasonable amount.
And we're all a fan of free shipping. Absolutely. And that's worldwide, other than the Lawnmower 4.0, which I know they're working on. Free shipping worldwide. And so you can't beat that. I know that's a barrier for some people because shipping just sucks. But definitely check that out. 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com with that promo code PAYOFF. So Tom, send us home, my friend.
Well, as always, we appreciate you listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode. And thank you for supporting The Payoff.